Okay, today we're going to look at finding the median, which is essentially finding the middle score. Now, let's take a look at this data set that we have here. First of all, have a notice of how many scores I actually have. We've actually got 7 scores here. The smallest score that we have here is the 2, and the largest one we have is the 14. Now, we have 7 scores, but what you'll notice is that they're all mixed up everywhere. They're not in order. And the first tip to actually finding the middle is to have them in order first. If we don't have them in order, then this 6 here looks like it's in the middle, but I would hazard a guess that it's actually not the median. So the first thing we need to do is actually rearrange these scores so that they're in order. So let's do that now, starting with the 2, ending with the 14, we'll put them in order. So here we have them. Nice and in ascending order here from 2 all the way up to 14. And now what I want to do is actually work out what my middle score is. Now you might be able to look at this and know that 9 there is in the middle. And that's good. It's good to be able to recognise it just by looking at it. But what we need to do is actually work out, hey, we might not have a data set that has only 7 scores in it. We might have one that has 77. So how do we work out actually what score will be the middle? Now I think the best way to do it is to know what the median actually does. The median, because it's the middle score, actually splits your data set up into 2 different sections. So you'll end up with a lower set and an upper set. And the median, this number in the center here, will actually split that up so that you've got a lower set and an upper set. Now I'm going to put brackets around it just so that we can really see that. Now how do I work it out? If I have an odd number of scores, so I started with 7 scores, well, the best way of figuring it out is, in each of these sets, the lower and the upper set, I need an even amount of scores. It needs to be the same in the bottom and the same in the upper. Because I've got 7, I've got an odd number, I know that my median is going to exist. It's going to be a score straight in the middle. And if one of these 7 is my median, that only leaves 6 left. So that ends up 3 being in the bottom and 3 being in the upper. But what about if I have an even data set? Let's have a look at that. Now the first thing that you should notice is that my scores are actually arranged in ascending order from smallest to largest. If they're not, you need to do that first before you can go anywhere. And then the second thing is to actually think, well, how many scores do I actually have here? 6, 8, I've actually got 10 scores there, so it's an even data set. And we said before that no matter how many scores I have, I need to split it, my median's going to split it, so that there's a lower set and an upper set. Now because I've got an even data set, that means I'm not actually going to have one of these scores as the middle. It's actually going to be in between my 2 center ones. So if I have 10 scores, well, splitting that evenly, I'm going to have 5 in the lower and 5 in the upper set. So what I'm going to do up here on my data set, I'm actually going to count. So from the very bottom, there's my lower bracket, and I'm going to count 5 scores. So I've got the 4, the 9, the 12, and the 15, and then I'm going to put in my bracket for the lower set. And you'll notice that 19, 21, 26, 29, and 30, 5 scores in my upper bracket as well. Now that means that your median is going to be in between the 15 and the 19. It's actually in the middle there. Now if my median's in between the 15 and the 19, then the way I actually work it out is I add those 2 middle scores together. So I add 15 and 19, and then I halve that answer. And so if I do that, I actually work out that 17 is my middle score. Now you might have been able to see that 17 was halfway between 15 and 19. Good, it's always good to use our common sense and to see can we actually figure it out. But you might have some numbers there that are a little bit trickier. It might not come out as a whole number either. It might actually come out as a decimal. It might be 17.5 or something like that. So there we go. We add those 2, when we have an even data set, we add the 2 middle numbers together and divide it by 2, and we get our median. Okay, so just one more practice here. Here's 2 different data sets. The top one, you'll notice that I have 9 scores, and so it's an odd data set. And if I've got 9 scores, one of them's going to be the middle. So I need to split it. If I have 9 scores, one's going to be the middle. Then I really want to have 4 in my bottom and 4 in my upper, because that gives me 8, and then my median's going to be in the middle. So let's form that, put in my lower bracket, 1, 2, 3, 4 scores. This one should be the middle, and I should have 1, 2, 3, 4 in my upper set, which I do. So there we go. In this data set, they were in order already, so 38 is my median. Now in the set below, how many scores do I have? I've actually got 10 scores here, so it's an even data set, which means I need 5 in the lower and 5 in the upper, and I'm not actually going to have one in the very center. I'm going to actually have to work that out. So put in your lower bracket and count 5 scores till the 17, and then I should have 2, 3, 5 scores in the upper set as well, and that means that my median is actually going to be in here. I need to do 17 plus 26 and then halve my answer to work out that my median is, it's actually 21 and a half, 21.5. Okay, because I have an odd data set here, and 17 plus 26 divided by 2 gives me my median of 21.5. Now what happens if I have a data set that's not just scores written out in a line? What if it's actually given to me in some other form? Let's have a look at that. Okay, so what I've got here is I've actually got a stem and leaf plot. Now what's nice about a stem and leaf plot is because the leaves are already arranged in order, they already go ascending up, well, I don't need to worry about putting my data set in order. It's already done that for me. What I need to work out is, do I have an odd or an even data set? Now if I count all of my leaves, count all these up, then this will actually tell me how many scores I have. Now if you can't remember how to actually read a stem and leaf plot, then what you need to remember is this. First I read my stem, and then I read each individual leaf. So this score here would be 11. The largest score on my data set would be, I have a stem of 4 and a leaf of 9, and it would be 49. Okay, so counting up how many leaves I've got will actually tell me how many scores I have altogether. So if I count them all up, I work out that I've got 17 scores. Now it's odd, which means that I'm going to have a number in the middle. I'm going to actually have a median. And if I take one away for the median, I'll only have 16 left, and I'll work out that I need 8 in my lower set and 8 in my upper set. And so what I'm going to do, because I know that the lowest score here is 11, I'm actually going to start my bracket there. So put your bracket around the 1, okay, because I'm just counting leaves, and I wanted 8. So I count the 1, 4, 6, and then I go to the next lowest score, which is actually the 20. Okay, so there are 3, the 20, the 22, the 22, and the 23, and the 25. So that actually gives me my 8 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That should be my lower set. Now what I'm going to do just to check this is I'm going to go up the other end, and I'm going to put the very last bracket, and I'm going to actually count backwards. I know I should have 8 scores in the lower set and 8 scores in the upper set. So I'm going to count backwards 8, and hopefully I'll be left with my median smack bang in the middle. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Then because I'm counting backwards from the highest score, the next highest score is up here at 37. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Put in my bracket. So there's my lower set here and my upper set here, and that means that this is actually my median. Now what I need to remember is that 2 there I've circled as my median, but this is actually a stem and leaf plot. Okay? It's not just called a leaf plot. So don't get tricked into thinking that 2 is actually your median. It's not a leaf plot, it's a stem and leaf plot, and so the median is actually the 32. Okay, I make sure I remember my stem there, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's have a go at another one of those. Okay, here's my next stem and leaf plot. Now you'll notice that this one actually has a key given. Now on the key down the bottom, if you look at this, what it's actually saying is, it's a key, really, of how to actually read these and understand them. It's saying that when I have 4 as my stem and 1 as my leaf, the score that I actually read off it is 4.1. Okay, so our scores are actually made up of decimals, okay, in this case. So, same deal as last time. Work out how many scores I actually have by counting up all these leaves. I've got 3 there, 4 there, 4 there, another 3, and 2. So I actually have 16 scores in total. Okay, now we notice that that's an even data set, and so I'm not going to have a score from my data set that's the very middle. I'm actually going to have to use the 2 middle scores. So if we have 16, and it's only 1 less than before, so I still have 8 and 8. Okay, what I don't have is that score in the center. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to actually start down in the lower bracket, put in my first bracket, and I'm going to count 8 scores. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hopefully. And then I'm going to work backwards. And what I should know, I should actually get out of this, is that I don't have a middle score. So if I count backwards, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's correct. So if I have an even data set, and I know that my median is in between those 2 middle scores there, then what are those middle scores? Remember before that we actually said that it's a stem and leaf plot, so I actually need to make sure I read the stem and the leaf, and I need to remember this key. So this first score is actually the 4 and the 1, it's actually 4.1, and the next score, with the 4 and the 5, is actually 4.5. So I need to add those two and then divide my answer by 2. And hopefully you should get 4.3 as your median score. Well done.